Carrots used to be purple in color. The Old Testament was written over the course of 1,000 years, whereas the New Testament was written within 75 years. There is a house-sized shoe box in Amsterdam that is an Adidas store. Lamborghinis, Bentleys, Aston Martins are all used as police cars in Dubai. In 2010, Johnny Depp responded to a letter from a 9-year-old girl named Beatrice Depp by actually showing up at her school in costume as Captain Jack Sparrow after she wrote, asking that pirates help her stage a mutiny against her teachers. In the original version of The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, Ariel doesn't marry the prince. He actually marries someone else and she dies. Sound can travel quicker through solids. This is because molecules in a solid medium are much closer together than those in a liquid or gas, allowing sound waves to travel more quickly through it. The reason people traditionally put wedding rings on the left ring finger is because before medical science figured out how the circulatory system functioned, people believed that there was a vein that ran directly from the fourth finger of the left hand to the heart. The Kevlar bulletproof vest was invented by a pizza delivery guy after being shot twice on the job. There's a phobia called the Jonah complex, which causes a person to fear their own success, preventing them from reaching their full potential. Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands. The best-selling book in history is the Bible, with 5 billion copies in sales. An Indonesian boy named Aldi Rizal began chain smoking when he was just 18 months old and continued smoking over 40 cigarettes a day until he was 5 years old, when he was sent to rehab. The first recorded human flight with artificial wings in history was in the 6th century in China. Emperor Yang would strap prisoners to kites and throw them off building to see if they could fly. Halieutics is the study of fishing. It was known that after examining the animals, Charles Darwin used to eat them too. Justin Timberlake's mother was Ryan Gosling's legal guardian when he was a child. In 2012, a man sued Pepsi after he found a mouse in his Mountain Dew. However, Pepsi fought and won the case, proving that any mouse would have dissolved inside a can of Mountain Dew after 30 days, and that this can was purchased 74 days after being manufactured. A 63-year-old Tasmanian woman gave birth to her first baby in August of 2016, making her Australia's oldest new mother. Venus and Uranus are the only planets that rotate clockwise. The other 6 planets in the solar system rotate counterclockwise. The most densely populated island on the planet is Santa Cruz del Islo, off the coast of Colombia. It measures only about 0.01 kilometers, but is home to over 12,000 people. A German engineering company has created the world's first rope-free elevator system that uses a magnetic technology which allows elevators to travel sideways as well as up and down. The stethoscope was invented in France in 1816 by René Laennec because he felt uncomfortable placing his ear on a woman's bare chest in order to listen to her heart. A grenade blast underwater is more deadly than on land. In 2009, a Kansas City car dealer gave away a voucher for a free AK-47 with each truck purchase during a sale. Mushrooms can create a slight breeze even when the air is calm. They release water vapor, cooling the air and creating a convective current that gets the air moving, carrying spores away from the parent. In 1923, a jockey named Frank Hayes suffered a fatal heart attack and died mid-race. His body remained on the horse and crossed the finish line in first place. He had never won a race before in his life. New Zealand will deny people residency visas if they have too high of a BMI, and there have been cases of people being rejected because of their weight. On July 23, 1983, Air Canada's Flight 143, with 69 people on board, ran out of fuel at an altitude of 41,000 feet. The pilot managed to glide the plane down safely as he was a very experienced glider pilot. The mistake discovered, later on, was that 22,300 pounds of jet fuel had been put in instead of 22,300 kilograms. The 2014 film Nightcrawler was inspired by a photographer named Arthur Felig, who in the 1930s installed a police band shortwave radio in his car and maintained a complete darkroom in the trunk. He'd often beat authorities to the scene and then sell his gory photos to the tabloids. Many casinos have started introducing skill-based games because younger people are bored with the standard luck-based ones like slots and roulette. Gamblers will be able to bet and win money on things like free throw contests, Castroids, a modified version of Angry Birds, and more. At the 2012 International Shooting Grand Prix, gold medalist Maria Dmitrienko of Kazakhstan had to listen to the entire parody of O Kazakhstan from Borat. The incident resulted from the wrong song being downloaded from YouTube at the last minute. Senior officials of Kazakhstan were furious. Only 2 words in English contain all the vowels in order, facetiously and abstemiously. Scotland's national animals are unicorns and its national flower is thistles. Albania's national animal is dragon. The whites of human eyes evolved as a means of nonverbal communication, and dogs, too, rely on the human sclera to pick up visual cues. A parasitic worm has been found in some grasshoppers that after growing to maturity, makes the grasshoppers seek water and drown themselves to return the parasite to water. If you shout or make a sound that is 1,100 dB, it will create a black hole destroying our galaxy. Zimbabwe's bank balance was $217 at the start of 2013. From 1946 to 1948, nearly 700 Guatemalans were deliberately infected by American doctors to study the effects of venereal disease. The U.S. didn't formally acknowledge the study or apologize till 2010. Nicolas Cage-born Nicolas Coppola changed his last name at the beginning of his career in order to avoid any favoritism he might receive as the nephew of the legendary director Francis Ford. Coppola directed The Godfather EI, Apocalypse Now, among other movies. On April 1, 2007, Google sent an email to its employees warning that a python was loose in its New York office. It was not a joke. The only reason Tom Cruise was literally in a closet in South Park was Trey Parker getting around the legal repercussions of calling him gay directly. The lawyers wouldn't allow it, so he rewrote the scene to have him trapped in a closet. Shakira was banned from her school choir because her music teacher didn't think she could sing and sounded like a goat. Farmers in Kenya are using elephants' natural fears of bees and building beehive fences that keep wild elephants from trampling the crops. It keeps the farms safe and prevents farmers having to kill elephants to defend their livelihood. There is a rare chronic sleep disorder called fatal familial insomnia, which renders the victim unable to sleep. A man named Michael Cork was diagnosed with this illness and died a month after his 42nd birthday, by which time he had been completely sleep-deprived for 6 months. It has no known cure. Elite U.S. soldiers actually Hippos often enjoy licking massive crocodiles. Where the Wild Things Are was originally where the wild horses are before author Maurice Sendak realized he didn't know how to draw horses. The sponge is the only multicellular animal without a nervous system. People can distinguish between 3,000 and 10,000 different smells. About 50 milliliters of blood travels through 100 grams of brain tissue each minute. Epilepsy was once called morbus Herculeus because it was thought that Hercules had epilepsy. Epilepsy was later called morbus Sacer, which means sacred disease. Huntington's disease, an incurable and treatable inherited illness, affects 30,000 people in the USA, slowly killing their brain cells and eroding muscle coordination, memory, judgment, and emotional stability. The famous French writer or philosopher Voltaire, born 1694, died 1778, is said to have consumed 50 cups of coffee a day, or approximately 3,750 milligrams of caffeine a day. 40 years ago, 42% of adults in the USA smoked. Today, approximately 23% do. Surveys report that 70% of smokers want to quit.